Great. Once you find your book, let's all stand to sing. Page 226. Here we go. I have found his grace is all complete. He supplieth every need. While I sit and learn at Jesus' feet, I am free, yes, free indeed. It is joy unspeakable and full of glory, full of glory, full of glory. It is joy unspeakable, full of glory. All that I have has never yet been told. I have found the pleasure I once craved. It is joy and peace within. What a wondrous blessing, I am saved from the awful gulf of sin. It is joy unspeakable and full of glory, full of glory, full of glory. It is joy unspeakable and full of glory. All that I have has never yet been told. Last verse. I have found the joy no tongue can tell, how its waves of glory roll. It is like a great o'erflowing well springing up within my soul. It is joy unspeakable and full of glory, full of glory, full of glory. Joy unspeakable and full of glory. All that I have has never yet been told. Thank you. Have a seat. We're glad you're here this morning. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Does anybody have a spoken prayer request? Amen. What causes pains? Okay. 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 Anybody else with a prayer request? Okay. Okay. Anybody else with a spoken request? Okay. Anybody else? Any unspoken requests, something you want to pray about? Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to be in your house this morning. Lord, I pray that you'll bless all the requests, Lord, and for the physical needs, Lord, and the spiritual needs. I pray that you'll intervene on behalf of others. And I pray that you'll bless our classes this morning for the lost that are with us today. We'll see them saved, and for every Christian to grow in Christ and understand your will just a little bit better. Thank you, Jesus, for loving us, and thank you down on the cross for us. I pray that you'll bless the time we have together. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen. All right, you can be dismissed to Sunday school class. Okay, open your Bibles, please, the book of John, chapter 5. John, chapter 5. Hey, Brian, can you shut those doors? John, chapter 5. We'll just read the first few verses. It seemed dark in here to you. I didn't know if it was me. I can't see my words. Everything's up. No, we don't run these anyway. I can't see anything if those are on because I can't see anybody else. It kind of glares everything else. Okay. All right, John chapter 5. Look at verse 1. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up into Jerusalem. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. And these lay a great multitude of impotent folks, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. Whosoever then first, after the troubling of the water, stepped in was made whole of whatsoever disease he had. And a certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lie, and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he saith unto him, Wilt thou be made whole? And the impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man, when the water is troubled, to put me into the pool. But while I'm coming, another steppeth down before me. And stop reading right there. This guy's been there for 38 years. And Jesus asked the question, Wilt thou be made whole? You want to be made whole? Sometimes when I read scriptures or read anything, I think, is that a sarcastic statement? Do you want this? Yeah. But it wasn't a sarcastic statement. He asked the guy that was sick, do you want to be made whole? There was someone in the emergency room one time, and I said to them, kind of jokingly, I said, just your favorite spot. And I'd be looking up the ceiling in the emergency room. And it was not their favorite spot. But I was kind of joke with them about it. There's a lot of people like the idea that they're sick. Okay? I don't know if anybody in this room is this way, but I've known people that like the idea. I've heard people talk about their grandmother or different people that they just came to a certain point and they just laid in the bed and they said, I'm not getting up again. And they weren't sick, there wasn't anything wrong with them. They just said they're not going to get up again. And they just stayed there until they passed. And however long, months, years, whatever it took for different people. And some people like the idea of being sick. And Jesus asked him, Wilt thou be made whole? Do you want something different? Okay? You want to be made whole. I think about different things that happened. When Jesus passed by, there was a lady that had the infirmity that was sick for a long time, issue of blood, it said. And she'd spent all her money on the physicians, but couldn't be made whole. She couldn't be healed. And so as he passed by, she reached out and just touched the hem of his garment as he was going by. She was looking. She was hoping he'd do something. Of course, here's a guy that is laying there by the pool of Bethesda, and Jesus said, do you want this? Do you want something different? I think of people all the time. I mentioned this Wednesday night. I went over again yesterday just to holler at the people at the boat. But John, why would you do that? I was wanting to go ask them if they want something better than living in the boat. Okay, really? Something inside me wants to ask. Okay, they didn't respond. I think they're in there. I know they're living there, and I don't know if they were there yesterday when I went over. I couldn't hear anybody inside. But hello, and is this what you want? When I was working one day, and one of my customers there had a blood drive at the bank where he works, and so the blood mobile's out in the parking lot, and they had a blood drive, and I said, sure, I'll give blood. I do it on a regular basis. I used to do it all the time, and I said, I'll give blood. So me and him were joking. Me and my customer, we've been friends for 15 years. We're joking, and the lady that's doing our blood thing, she said, so you work for the bank? I said, no, I sell printing, sell paper and stuff to the bank. She said, when you were a little kid, she joked me, she said, when you were a little kid, did you grow up wanting to sell paper? And I said, when you were a little kid, did you grow up wanting to be a vampire? Draw blood out of people? Anyway, some people are in a situation in life that they want to be, okay? Some people are sick because they want, what's the word, psychosomatic, okay?
So there's a lot, and doctors have come up with this. That, like, I've heard this 30 years ago, that 70% of illnesses are psychosomatic, like we bring it on ourselves. Okay, people feel bad. Okay, if Mark came in this morning and some first shake hand, Mark, you feeling okay? If you look kind of pale today. Okay, or if the second person says to him, Mark, are you okay? Are you okay? And then about the fifth person says something to him, he's going to say, I think I'm running a fever. Okay, there's something, and it's psychosomatic. A lot of people like that. They just something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. Okay, so Jesus asked me, "What you want to be made whole?" Some people don't want anything different. Okay, when I think about that, not just with the sickness thing. There's people in our community that live under a bridge. I've been to one of the rescue missions in Charleston. We have a friend that was there at the time, and I sat in the service with him. And he used to come to church here, and I think, do you want something different? Do you really want to? Do you want to get out of here? Do you want to go back to what we call a normal life that you had before? For some people, they like the circumstances that they're in. They don't want anything different. Remember when Moses went to Pharaoh and he said, "Let my people go," and all the plagues started coming. Okay, and one of the plagues was frogs. Okay, and when all of the plagues, when Moses said to Pharaoh, "When do you want the plague to end? If you'll promise to let our people go, the plague will end right away." And he asked about the frogs, and Pharaoh said, "Tomorrow." He didn't say today. He don't get rid of the frogs that day. I mean, they're in the ovens, they're in the bed sheets, they're everywhere in the house. They're in every Egyptian's home has frogs everywhere. Okay, and Pharaoh said, "Tomorrow." There's a song we heard years ago called "One More Night with Those Stinking Frogs." The guy made a funny song about the idea that, and Pharaoh wanted another night with the frogs. Why? Maybe he liked the sound of it, but I knew it was a curse to his people. Okay, a plague. I've heard people say that their sin, whatever it is that I would say you want to be made whole, so it doesn't bother anybody, doesn't hurt anybody. It does. Okay, immorality or drinking or drugs, whatever it is. You think it's not hurting anybody? It's hurting a lot of people. It does affect other people. Sometimes an illness or a problem or something in life defines who we are. Okay, I've known people like this. That illness is what their whole life revolves around. Okay. George and Katrina and them have asked prayer for Cohen Bramley for years. A little 6-year-old boy, he's probably 4 years old when they started asking prayer for him. So it's a little boy that has never tasted food in his life, has been in the hospital almost his entire life. There's a little boy that came to Vacation Bible School here this year that was in the hospital every month from the time he was 9 months old until he was 5 years old. He was in the hospital every month because of an infection that they couldn't get rid of. They had 27 surgeries and all these different problems. Okay, that little boy and his mother are not going to let that illness define who he is. It may limit what he does, but they're not going to let that illness define who he is. Okay, for Cohen Bramley, I think that illness is going to define who he is all his life. Right? We'll get to the second side of that in a minute. I need to talk to you this morning about the word whole. Okay? Complete, without being made whole. A lot of people don't want it. There's something inside of me wants it. Okay? Something inside of me wants everything. I want everything, not material things. We've got all the material stuff we need, I guess. But the truth is, something inside of me doesn't want to miss out on anything. Okay? I want to go to every activity we can go to. I want to see as many things as we can see. I want to witness as many people as I can witness to. I want to understand everything about God and His Scriptures and everything in His Word that I can understand. I don't want to miss out on stuff. Some people are content with not being whole. Okay? Are you content with that, with not being whole? If someone talks, okay, there's preachers that I've heard that talk about prophecy in a way that they want to define. They want to name who the beast is. Okay, in the Book of Revelation, like he's somebody alive today. They want to, people 40 years ago, people said it's Henry Kissinger. Different thing. I mean, through the years they changed the name of whoever it is. But but there's some people that they want to dig into something scripturally, and when they find the answers they're looking for, I don't think they're going to find it. It's not in the Bible. But there's truth that I don't want to miss out on. Okay? If there's something that God defines in scriptures as truth, then I don't want to look back and say I missed out on something. Okay? Y'all with me on that? Okay. Anybody go to state parks, West Virginia? You go to state parks. Okay. Probably about 3 years ago, we took Tammy's mom and dad down to towards Hinton. I've been to Hinton for work. I've never been down there to enjoy it. I mean, I can drive for 12 hours, drive by 14 state parks. It doesn't bother me at all. But if I've been to one, then I feel like I wish we'd have come here before. Okay, we took Tammy's mom and dad down there to this place on the way to Hinton State Park, right along the river. Drove back there, had lunch and stuff, had a good time together, and had a great day with them. But I told Tammy, I said, "Man, we cheated Rebecca by not bringing her here." Okay, because I felt like, oh man, this is less than 2 hours from the house, and we never made it to this place. We should have brought her here. Something like we missed out. I think Jared, you and Rebecca went down that way last year when you camped outside by the river. Okay, and I think, well, we missed out on something. Okay, I don't want to go through life and say I missed out on something. In Luke chapter 17, Jesus talked about, God gives us an illustration that there was 10 lepers that were cleansed of their leprosy, but only one of them turned back and gave thanks. And Jesus said to him that he was made whole by his faith. Oh, I think the other 9 were cleansed of their leprosy, but I think the one who turned back to him to give thanks was made whole. Something different about acknowledging what God has done to be made whole. Okay? Like I said, I want everything. Some people, as this man did, Jesus said, "Now without being made whole." This guy said, "I have no man when the water was stirred to put me in." Verse 7. The impotent man answered me, "Sir, I have no man where the water is troubled to put me into the pool. While I'm coming, another man stepping down before me." Okay? Some people go through life blaming others. Okay? It is sad that if there's a guy crippled laying there and the water is stirred and no one's going to help him in, that is a sad statement, right? I mean, everybody else will walk by and hey, jump over him to get in the water. Hey, it's going to be healed. And someone else is going to be healed before him. And that is a sad statement. But there are a lot of people just go through their entire life and say it's somebody else's fault. Okay? I would be healed. I would have better life if it had been for this. Or if it hadn't been for this thing. Like the illness defines them type thing. Or the sickness defines them. Or the sin defines them. I don't want to go through life with a blame game and say it's somebody else's fault. We didn't do well because okay. But it's also a sad statement. Like when David looked around, he said, "Refuge failed me, no man cared for my soul." It's a sad statement for people to say, no one cares. Okay? There's nobody in my life that this week. Well, Jared, one people down in North Carolina that took their life. Was it? Okay, some Rebecca went to see someone's sister or somebody else. Okay. Didn't leave a note. Why? Okay. A young person, right? Is it a teenager, right? So 15, 18, 16 years old. And nobody knows why. Could be they looked around and said nobody cares. Or do I feel like nobody cares? Okay? Nobody in this room should ever get to that point when you think nobody cares, because there's always somebody. All you got to do is call. A lot of people go through stuff and nobody knows. Okay? This guy laying there beside the water, everybody knew he's sick, right? Could somebody have stopped when the water was stirred? He said, always somebody else gets in there first. When Jesus said to him, "Rise up, take thy bed and walk," some words that his obedience to the word of Christ answered every problem he had to be made whole. All he had to do was what Jesus told him to do. Knowing what Jesus said and doing it, right? He didn't have to wait for the water. He didn't have to wait for an angel to show up and stir the water. It was just being obedient to what he's already said. What Jesus said. I said a minute ago, sometimes people are just defined by the illness or defined by their sin or defined by something else, right? That one issue defines them. And I like better because this guy's later. If you read the rest of his story, sometimes what God has done for you defines your life, rather than the illness or the problem. Wouldn't you rather be defined by what God has brought you from, or how He's delivered you, or how He has helped you, or what He has done? And the only way people are going to know is if you tell them, like this guy, if you read on down through there, he tells everybody what Jesus has done for him. Okay? I'd rather my life be defined by the obstacles I've overcome, or the obstacles that were in my way that God helped me to get past. Okay? I could have done. I'd rather not look at life and say I could have done this if somebody would have helped me. Okay. At one point, I found out that when I was a kid, I got a job with a Big Star or whatever. But the time when I got married, I was still working at Big Star and had a second job, worked part time. And I found out after I'd worked those jobs, that if I'd have gone to somebody else in our family, I could have got a much better job, okay, by family contacts that we had, okay? And then later I was offered a really good job that if I'd have taken that good job, I'd be retired by now. I mean, knowing that, man, I could be retired and farming full time or pastoring, whatever. I could be doing whatever I want to do, not working all day. I'd rather go, not say it's somebody else's fault that I didn't have the opportunity. Y'all working on that? I'd rather not go through life and say, well, if somebody else had done this for me, if somebody else had done this for me, then I'd have a better life. I'd rather go through life and say, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened, look what God's done. Okay? Because that's what this guy's has done now. When people ask him, first he said, I don't know who it was. The guy healed me and he walked away. Okay, told me to take my bed. They said you're not supposed to be carrying your bed on the Sabbath day. And they said, who was it? He said, I don't know. And Jesus told him. He went back and he said, Jesus did it. Okay, well, let's give God credit. I would rather not be the person who's defined by a sin or sickness or an illness or a problem. I'd rather be the person that's defined by look what God has done. Okay, that's who this guy becomes. A couple weeks ago, I was working. I met this guy a few times in the last year working. I'm installing furniture in different buildings, and there's a guy that works for a contractor, and he walks with a defined limp, okay? And I thought, well, something's happened to his work, and I never asked him about it, but he's got a defined, my dad had a defined limp, most of y'all met him. But this guy walks with a defined limp. And so the last time we were working at the place where that guy works, he works for a contractor, has a great job. One of the boys I work with, he said, what happened? He said, I had a stroke 3 years ago, okay? He is not, and I started witnessing to the guy after when we were working, just the two of us were working in one room, and I started witnessing a little bit. He told me where he goes to church, and lives across the lanes. He told me where he goes to church and different things, and he's a good Christian, good godly man. He said he would rather not be defined by the guy that had a stroke. He's defined by his Christianity, of his testimony. Well, this is what God has done for me. It's like, I don't know how people make without Christ, okay? This is what God has done. And when he said that, I went through the roof just rejoicing. But because the guy is like, well, woe is me, I had a stroke and I'm only this age. Okay? And it's going to limit my abilities. It's not going to limit his ability. He's going to overcome his problems, whatever it is, the physical problems that he has. I'm going to overcome that. And God has delivered me or helped me. He will still probably will always have that limp the rest of his life. He's not going to be defined by the limp. Well, I can't do the job because of this limited ability. What's the word we read a few minutes ago? Chapter 5, verse 3. In these lay, it talks about the people that were sick there by the pool of Bethesda. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, bound hither, whither, waiting for the movement of the water. Jason, last year, you talked about a training that you had. You're not allowed to use the word invalid, right? Okay. Why? Technology speaking, invalid is a proper term, right? But you can't use it for people, right? Is that right? Okay. I think about this. Anybody know an invalid person that is an overcomer? Don't point. Jamie wants to point at one of her brothers. Don't do it, please. anybody, anybody know a person that probably shouldn't be able to work, okay, and yet they do? Or someone who probably shouldn't be able to do that job, but they do that job? Or they shouldn't be able to serve in a capacity that they serve in a church or family, whatever the capacity is. And you think, well, they shouldn't be able to do that because, okay? My brother, when we were First Baptist Church, Brother House talked about it. He led a lady to Christ that was a prostitute. Okay, he was going door to door, and somebody came out and opened the door. He witnessed to her. She got saved. She came to church the next day and got baptized. Okay, she was like the woman at the well. She brought a lot of other people to church during the next 6 months or so. People that knew her before, they saw the change in her, and she eventually became a Sunday school teacher. Okay. Now, she didn't start the next week teaching teenage girls wardrobe and grooming. Okay, it took a while before she became a Sunday school teacher. Brian thought it was funny, but no one else is laughing. Huh? Okay, she didn't start the next week teaching, but eventually she became a Sunday school teacher, and a lot of people say she should never. Right? The woman at the well. She'd been married 5 times. She's living with some other man when she got saved. Right? And she come out. She went to town. For about a month. We looked at that lesson. She went back into town and said, and she told the men. Of course, she knew them all. Come out, see the man, and told me everything I ever did. Okay. A lot of people say, well, not that woman. Okay. You want to be spiritually led to Christ by that woman? Well, when I was a student at House Anderson College, there was a guy that I went soul winning with a lot of time. We were both the same size, 6'4". He'd been in the Marines for several years before he got called to preach, came to college. He's from California, Southern California. And the standards that we lived by when we were in school it was a dress standard. I mean, we were supposed to have white shirt and tie on all the time, or dress shirt and tie. Everywhere we went on Saturdays, we were out visiting kids and stuff. And we always had to dress the same way. Okay, we were supposed to be. It's almost like a uniform. We were always the same. Okay, and one day, me and this other guy were out witnessing, going door to door, and so I asked him about when he got saved. And he was a Marine, San Diego, I think stationed in or near San Diego, wherever they're at out there. And he told me about the guy that led him to Christ. He says a long-haired ponytail guy. You think of him a maggot-infested FM type guy that was just you wouldn't think of him as being a Christian. He said you wouldn't think of the witness coming out of his mouth that came out of his mouth. But he led this guy to Christ and got him in church, in a good church. Okay, you think that guy doesn't qualify. Everybody qualifies. If your life is not defined by sin or sickness or not being whole, if your life is defined by what God has done to you, for you, or through you, there's no limits as to what you can do. Well, I can't do that because, okay? When I graduated high school, I had no intention of going to college, okay? My teachers told me I was not college material, okay? I was not smart enough to go to school. Everybody knows that. Everybody knew that then, probably knows that. Y'all know that now. And I hide the fact that I graduated from college very well, okay? There's some people I work with on my sales job. I talked about college one day and they said, "You went to school? What do you think you got?" I mean, they know I'm from West Virginia. This is not West Virginia where they live and work. And they said, "We figured you didn't even graduate high school, okay, because you were so uneducated, okay?" I graduated from Charleston High. I guess about like not graduating high school, maybe, I don't know, because this one's breathing, he can pass, okay? And they said, okay, I don't think I was quality college material, okay? I loved it. I didn't know I could learn. I didn't know if Charlie Moss had been my history teacher at Horseman Junior High, at junior high school, they would have said, "Boy, just get him through. Let's just hope he passes. Let's help him out. Let's nudge the grades a little bit. There's a curve, right? And we'll lower the curve so these guys can pass, okay? Right, Charlie? You lowered the curve so that those kids can It's close enough. Okay, the B minus will pass. I'd rather be defined by what he has done already, rather than defined by my abilities or my inabilities. Okay, my invalid status. Right? Okay, anybody got questions on this? Sometimes you always question, sometimes no. Okay, wilt thou be made whole? Look at verse 14. One more verse. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said unto him, Behold, thou art made whole, sin no more, lest a worse thing come unto thee. And the man departed and told the Jews that it was Jesus that had made him whole. Okay, stop reading right there. So he told the Jews that Jesus was the one. But let's look at what Jesus said, verse 14. Behold, thou art made whole, sin no more, lest a worse thing come unto thee. Okay, stop reading right there. Does that mean that this guy's sin, this guy's sickness for 38 years was, I've heard people say this, sin no more lest the worst thing come unto thee? Does that mean that this guy was impotent for 38 years because of something he had done? Because of his son? A lot of people think that a lot of preachers, theologians would say, yeah, that means that he was in that situation. He was laying there by the pool, and it was his fault for being there. Okay? What something he had done. But Jesus said, sin no more lest the worst thing come unto thee. How many think the guy that was delivered from the hog pen wanted to go back to the hog pen? Prodigal son. Do you think he wanted to go back? I mean, how many think he enjoyed being back home? Right? Right? Anybody know somebody from the hog pen want to go back to the hog pen? It's not bad having hogs, but the idea of you're living there eating what they eat, okay, that's a bad idea. We're supposed to get a couple pigs from Robin Traber. And I was thinking about the hog pen yesterday because I was building the hog pen for the pig. I don't know what they feed them now. I know Robin Traber buy food for their pigs, so it's a sanitary thing. But I know when I was a kid, we had pigs, we had hogs, and we had milk cows. And we weren't there every day, but every Saturdays and Sundays I was out there with milk the cows. Milk the cows, take the milk from the bucket, hang it out there for the calves to drink. The little calves would drink from a bucket, and then whatever was left, the calves wouldn't drink it. He dumped it in a big 55-gallon drum, big metal drum, which also had rotten vegetables in it, and bread that's day-old bread or old bread that's moldy that you can't sell in stores anymore. And Mr. Keaton would go pick up that bread and dump it in that bucket. And sometimes there'd be a lid on the bucket. Sometimes there wasn't a lid on the bucket. If there's a lid on the bucket, then when you take that lid off, it's nasty. Okay, it is rotten milk and old bread, moldy bread. Okay, well, John, you just canceled lunch hour for half of us. Okay, it is nasty. And Mr. Keaton used to do this. He'd take a board about this long and stick it hanging halfway out over the middle of the bucket, and then put something on, like a piece of bread or a piece of cheese or something on that or a vegetable on that end of that board, because we had rats in the barn. Okay, so the rats would go after the whatever's on the end of that board, and as soon as they get to the end of the board, it'd fall, to eat the piece of bread or whatever's on there, they'd fall down into the hog slop. Okay, anybody else have hogs when you're a kid? Nobody else. Yep. Dave, you had it, right? Okay. Did you do the same thing with the milk? Did you do that? Okay. They used all the milk. I remember going in there, and there's rats, either a dead rat floating in there because they can't get out once they get in there, or a dead rat swimming around in there. Okay. All you do with the dead rat staying around in there, you take the board and hold him under. Okay, and then you can throw him away. Okay. So I can't imagine. Terry's thinking, I'm not going to eat for 3 days now after this, because I'll be thinking about this every day. I can't imagine the prodigal son saying, I want to go back to eat the hog slop again. But why would somebody want to? God delivers them from sin. Not just to take them to heaven when they die, but to give us freedom from sin. We don't have to go back to it. Okay? I can't imagine someone saying, yeah, I want to go back to the hog pen. I kind of liked it there. Okay, it's not like a vacation spot. It wasn't a vacation spot. When King David sinned with Bathsheba, the baby died. Then, of course, there's the problems with Tamar, Amnon, and Absalom the rest of their life. Okay? In the scripture, he pronounced the judgment that came on him. He paid for his sin fourfold with the baby, Tamar, Absalom, and Amnon, his children. He paid greatly for his sin with Bathsheba. Do you think the consequences were on his mind all the time? The rest of his life? Okay? I guarantee they were. Whenever he talked about Tamar or Absalom or the baby or Amnon, always thinking about it. Later on in David's life, was King David, he wanted to number the people. Pride was in his heart. He wanted to number how many soldiers he had in Israel, how many men he had in Israel. And Abner, Joab, his general said, "Don't do it because you're going to sin against God when you number the people." He wanted to do it anyway. Okay. As a result of him numbering the people, it's basically just taking the census, but it's for his pride. He took the census. 70,000 men died as a result of that because of a plague that came through. Okay? 70,000 men died. Do you think it weighed on his mind, said, I want to number them again? After he lost, knowing that he lost 70,000 men, do you think he'd want to go back and do the same thing again? Okay? And tell me, why would someone that was made whole want to go back and be crippled again? Why would this guy, Jesus said, send him away lest the worst thing come to thee. Why would this guy want to go back and do the same thing again? After 38 years of laying there, do you think you want to go back and say, okay, I don't care what Jesus said, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway? Yeah, a lot of Christians do the same thing. I mentioned a friend of ours that was at the rescue mission. I remember when he got saved. I remember when he was here in church for years. I remember him and his wife and his family serving here for a long time. Nice guy, okay? Delivered from the hog pen, having a great life, blessed of God. His family's blessed, business is good, everything's good, relationship with God, witnessing to his friends. But he said, there's something back here drawing me back, okay? Which the end result was worse than where he came from, okay? Anybody want that? Anybody interested in hog slop this afternoon? Mm-hmm. Jared said, are we grilling today? Well, we're grilling. Roadkill. It is pork. Roadkill. You know, the singers over here a couple weeks ago on a Friday night, I told that they got done eating at our house, and I said, that's the best possum you ever had, isn't it? And they said, possum? What was it? Yeah, well, okay. So we choose. Are we going to be defined by our illness or our sickness or our sin? Or are we defined by what God has done for us? This guy's defined by what God's done for him. Okay, telling others that Jesus is the one, giving him praise. He's defined by what, and not going to go back to the whole pen for his terminology. Not going back. I'd rather be defined by what he's done, rather than to be defined by my sin or my sickness. Okay? Any questions? Good. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for loving us. Help us be a Christian for to be. Help us understand what victory is and victory of our own sin, that we don't have to live bound by it. I pray if there's anyone here today that's lost, will see him saved. I pray that you'll use this for your glory. Use us as a church family to be a witness for Christ. To go out and tell others what Jesus has done for us. In your name we ask. Amen. Thanks for coming out this morning.